Kelsey Mitchell, they were brilliant. 15 apiece. Mitchell backdoor lays it in.
Welcome to an exhilarating moment in WNBA history. This year, the Indiana Fever are turning heads, and it's no surprise why. You might think every conversation in women's basketball eventually circles back to Caitlin Clark, but today, it's all about her teammate, Kelsey Mitchell. And trust me, the drama unfolding is both hilarious and a tad concerning for Fever fans. Now, before we dive into the details, let's take a moment to ask for your support. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free for you, but it means the world to us. Now let's jump right back into the action. As the WNBA races into the postseason, pun totally intended, Indiana is gearing up for their first playoff appearance since 2017, might be a little overwhelmed with all the lights, camera, and action that followed Clark here. If not the franchise, Kelsey Mitchell seems to be feeling the nerves. Reality show vibes, anyone? Stick around because you won't believe who the Fever's leading scorer turned to for advice. Since being selected as the number 1-2 draft pick in 2018, Mitchell has been a force to be reckoned with, averaging an impressive 19.6 points and 2.5 rebounds per game. Yet despite her talent, the team lacks something crucial in high-stakes situations. What else would it be than experience? According to head coach Christy Sides, team doesn't have a single starter who's ever played in a playoff game before. So simply they all together are trying to figure out what's required and what's not. Mitchell, to calm herself and perhaps get a few tips about playing in the highly stressful environment of playoffs, the 28-year-old reached out to Delo. Yes, you're right, she did not get this idea all of a sudden. It all began at Ohio State, where both Mitchell and Russell trained together. Eventually, they ended up being close friends, as she states. So, they both know each other from before, and from that perspective, it was a good motivation and experienced person to have a conversation with or to take advice from. Really? No. With 4 postseason runs under his belt, it surely seems to be a good move because of his experience. Only fans don't think it to have been the right route to take. Now, if it was just a casual chat between friends, this would have just received a lot of love and perhaps a smidge of those odd lights. However, Russell doesn't exactly have the best record when it comes to the postseason, and that is what worries the fans. Take this guy, for instance. "She's asking the wrong person about playoffs, bruh," followed by a crying and laughing emoji. And honestly, who can blame them? While D'Lo has his moments, like scoring 31 points in a playoff game, his postseason track record isn't exactly stellar. He's played in 32 games, starting all but one, but his performance has been wildly inconsistent. In fact, during the 2023 conference finals, he averaged just 6.3 points, shooting a dismal 32.3% from the field. His numbers dropped dramatically, averaging just 6.3 points, while shooting a mere 32.3% from the field and an embarrassing 13.3% from downtown. So, at best, the 2023 NBA Cup champion, now known as Emirates Cup, is inconsistent. A point this next user depicted quite graphically, with the help of a different set of stats. Imagine asking this guy about playoffs, followed by a crying a river emoji. Not his best night for sure. But then again, the Lakers have collectively been helpless at the hands of Denver, and D'Angelo seemed to have been dealt the worst hand. Moving on, this next individual has made up his mind about how the Fever's postseason is going to be.
Shady, before I kick it over to you, I gotta be honest, man. The Lakers should feel hopeless.
Rip to Fever's playoff hopes. And another one, this coming from a Lakers fan. Welp, they going home early. Clearly, these fans really have no faith in D'Lo. And finally, this last guy, a Warriors and Curry fan, decided to use this opportunity to take a dig at Ben Simmons. That's like reaching out to Ben Simmons for three-point advice. A major pain point of the Nets star, to be sure, but gotta hand it to the guy for standing out of the crowd with that. For argument's sake, though, D'Angelo Russell might have a not-so-great playoff record, and that's on him. But that doesn't discount the playoff experience he has acquired. And there's no doubt he can be of help for Kelsey Mitchell. But still, it seems the Indiana Fever's #0 guard has had bad advice, probably the worst. Delow, being an impressive player himself, must have informed Mitchell about the precautions before playoffs. Well, he didn't. At least that's evident from tonight's game against the Washington Mystics. Having started 37 games this season, Mitchell was the strongest to unveil for the final game of the 2024 regular season. With the same attitude, Mitchell led an impressive 11-0 run in the first quarter. But then, just as the first quarter was nearing its end, things took a dramatic turn. Kelsey Mitchell got tangled up with a tenacious Washington Mystics defender. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she struggled to get up off the ground. Play continued down the court, but all eyes were on Mitchell, who was clearly in pain. When she finally stood, it was with a noticeable limp. Despite her discomfort, Mitchell showed incredible determination. She stayed in the game, trying to shake off the pain in her left leg whenever she had a chance. For about a minute, she fought through, but the injury was taking its toll. As soon as a dead ball was called, Erica Wheeler subbed in, and Mitchell headed straight to the locker room, limping all the way. The tension in the arena was palpable. Fans were on the edge of their seats, anxiously waiting for any updates. Then, at the beginning of the second quarter, a ripple of relief spread through the crowd. Kelsey Mitchell reappeared on the bench, wearing a knee brace. It was a sight that brought hope and concern in equal measure. She sat there, adjusting the brace, and after a short time, she decided to shed it, leaving it at the end of the bench. The question on everyone's mind was clear. Would she be able to come back strong and lead her team to victory? Had he missed advice about injuries? Maybe, or maybe not. Still, Mitchell somehow racked up 4 points in 5 minutes of gameplay. Nearly 1 point per minute. Impressive, right? But the real thrill is ahead. Being one of the dynamic duos, as Christy Sides calls the combination of Clark and Mitchell, she has a great responsibility to lead her team in the run for the WNBA championship title. Now you might be thinking, will she be able to play? Well, she will, as promised by Christy Sides in a post-conference interview.
Yeah, Kelsey's good. Just when she went down, I stroked out a little bit, and so just made the decision right then. She's going to get ready for Sunday.
For her, Kelsey's injury was a shock too, and getting her benched was an action. However, she assured everything's going well, and Mitchell will be there to knock it off on Sunday, September 22nd, for the first game of the playoffs. But is Delow's advice really worth it to go with on Sunday? That remains to be seen, but it's time for you to go for a wild guess. Your time starts now.
Puts it into it with a three.
Right back, staying steady.